problem solving. Wicked, tame, and critical issues. What is the biggest problem that you are facing right now, and how should you try and solve it? Professor Keith Grint identified that there are 3 key types of problems: tame, critical, and wicked. His premise was that if you can work out the sort of problem you're dealing with, you can then apply the right leadership style or management approach to solve the problem. So let's look at each type of problem in turn with some examples. Tame problems. Tame problems are challenges that have a previous solution that you can use. These are the sorts of issues where you can apply best practice. So to take a simple example, imagine you had a puppy. That young dog would need house training. House training is not particularly fun and can be quite hard work, but there are lots of people out there who can give you advice on how to effectively train the dog. If you follow that expertise properly, you should successfully train your pet. So a tame problem may not be an easy one, but you can plan for it in detail and start to tackle the issue. With adequate planning, you can expect success with a high degree of certainty. Therefore, tame problems require good management. It's about choosing the right process and then implementing that plan. A manager can lean on other people's data and experience to make decisions, and then use proven processes to develop a plan. Traditional organisations have been structured to deal with these sorts of problems. Specialist teams can work in their own divisions without much need to interact with other teams and functions. Managers must ensure effective communication at the interfaces between these teams, but if the problem is well defined and planned for, then these structures can work just fine for solving tame problems. Critical problems. Critical problems are self-evident challenges that offer little time for decision making and action. They are urgent and immediate issues. Let's go back to the dog example. Imagine your dog is a bit older and you're out for a walk. Unexpectedly, your dog attacks another dog. You now have a critical problem, something that needs to be solved fast to reduce the negative outcomes. If you do not act quickly, the situation could go from bad to worse. In this instance, you may need to be firm, directive, and if needed, personally intervene to resolve the problem. Critical problems require command. In other words, they usually need a more directive leadership style to ensure timely decisions and swift action. The depth of experience of a leader will equip them to make quick, intuitive decisions. This type of directive approach can be reassuring to people in a crisis, but be aware that used in other circumstances, it can be condescending or stifling. For critical problems, hierarchical organisational structures with clear lines of communication and decision-making work well. Wicked problems. Wicked problems are complex issues that have no right or wrong answer. The problem might be a new one, like dealing with artificial intelligence, or an evolving problem such as climate change, or an old problem where there is no good solution such as poverty. The problem also does not have a stopping rule. In other words, you don't really ever solve the problem just changes. Let's go back to the animal analogy. You would face a wicked problem if you owned 2 dogs, but could not afford to keep both. There's no single right solution to that issue. You have various courses of action, some that might be more palatable than others. For example, finding a trusted friend to rehouse one pet might be preferable to giving one to a stranger, but how do you choose which loved pet to give away? And even if you do manage to rehouse one pet, that does not necessarily solve the underlying problem of income generation. Not being able to look after both pets was just one facet of another wicked problem, that of cash flow. Wicked problems require a leader to set a clear vision and strategy, but also to be flexible and confidently make difficult decisions. Diversity of thought and creativity will help with exploring solutions. Due to the need for trial and error, it is harder to have a long-term and detailed plan in these situations. With wicked problems, teams will need to experiment, learn and adapt as they go. Therefore, a more agile leadership approach and flat structure, rather than traditional management and hierarchy, will be more applicable. This allows pragmatic or so-called clumsy solutions that enable forward progression without having to achieve perfection. So in summary, as you look for solutions, remember these approaches. Tame problems. Manage an existing process to get the best result. Critical problems. Take command and be decisive to win quickly. Wicked problems. Be flexible, creative, and pragmatic. And remember, as John Dewey said, a problem well defined is a problem half solved. If you would like any further help with this or any other subject, then do click on the related links or head over to the website at www.therightquestions.co.